You know, the Bible doesn't talk about sexual orientation or gay relationships in the way that we experience them or understand them today. It really doesn't. Jesus never taught about it. None of the New Testament writers talked about gay relationships in the way that we understand it or experience it today. And yet, so many Christians think it does, and they're not even sure where in the scriptures it's talked about. But it really doesn't talk about it in the way that we understand it today. You know, there are 31,102 verses in the entire Bible, the Old and New Testament. And any conversation that happens today about LGBTQ issues and Christianity, the Bible, they come from only 6 very obscure, quirky context, even hard to interpret passages. So all the discussions that the church is having today about being gay and gay inclusion come from only 6 verses. Now, I know some of you are going, really? My church or my minister or pastor told me that it's very clear and clearly wrong in the scriptures. Now, I want to ask you a question that I want you to be intellectually honest with yourself right now. So forget whatever you've been taught about LGBTQ and then Christianity. Just ditch that for a moment. Do you know what those 6 verses are? Do you know where there are? Do you know where even one of them is? Do you have an understanding of the Hebrew language? Do you have an understanding of Greek language? Do you understand the historic context that any of these 6 verses were written and contextually what the writer is talking about at the time? Well, none of these 6 verses address any of the issues that we experience in a modern way and what it means to be gay in any way. Yet these 6 verses in popular Christianity are used all the time to have this discussion. And when these 6 verses get weaponized or they're used to thump people in the LGBTQ community, it just does deep, deep damage. And this damage doesn't have to happen, especially when someone doesn't have a true understanding of these verses. So I want to show you those verses real quick. Take a look. There they are. Of course, I won't read them, but that's where they are. And what can happen is people can use these verses. They can weaponize these verses. They can use these verses to thump people who have an intrinsic natural orientation and who are gay. And it just continues. When these verses are used very biblicistically, very simplistically, and very literally, just the words, just what they said, and using them out of context, they can do great damage to people. They have done great damage to people. Now, I realize people debate these verses. At Spero Dei, we don't. There's no debate on this issue at Spero Dei. But in recent decades, there has been some amazing scholarship in history and languages and theology when it comes to an understanding of these verses. And yet, there is nothing in these verses that at all addresses what we understand of what it means to be gay today. I want to show you some quotes from some scholars here. Take a look at these. Martin H. Woodstra says, there is nothing in the Old Testament that corresponds to sexual orientation as we understand it today. New Testament scholar Victor Paul Furnish says, there is no text on gay orientation in the Bible. And then biblical scholar Robin Scroggs, she further adds, biblical judgments against a person's sexual orientation are not relevant to today's debate. They should no longer be used, not because the Bible is not authoritative, but simply because it does not address the issues involved. And so I just want to encourage us all that there is a different way of looking at all of this. And to all of you who are part of the Spero Dei community, to those of you who are part of our LGBTQ community, I just want to thank you that you are part of this church, and I hope you feel wholly and solely affirmed in who you are and who you are as a gay person. You are fully loved here, you are fully accepted here, and you are fully affirmed here. We go beyond welcoming. And for those of you who are straight here, who love our LGBTQ community, there are people that you love who have been hurt by a different kind of Christianity that has been weaponized towards people you love. I am so glad that you are part of this community and that we are one community. Well, earlier this week, I talked to some folks who are part of our LGBTQ community at Spero Dei. First, you're going to hear from Tom and Chuck, a married couple in our church, and they're going to tell you a little about their story, especially the difference between welcoming and affirming. Then you're going to hear from Jen and Kelly, who are a beautiful family in this church with their kids, and you'll hear a little of their experience. First, Lionel is going to sing, and then you'll hear these conversations, these needed conversations, and then I'll come back and do a wrap up to all of this.
Open my eyes, Lord. Oh, give me sight, Lord. I want to see my sister in need, my brother who bleeds inside. Open my eyes. Open my ears, Lord. Help me to hear, Lord. I want to receive the pleas of the poor, the cries I've ignored out of fear. Open my ears. The Gospels record Jesus saying, "You have eyes, but you don't see. You have ears, but you don't hear." Man, that arrests me every time I read that. Makes me think of Mother Teresa, who spent most of her life serving the poor in Calcutta, India. She said, "Calcuttas are everywhere if you just have eyes to see." And she said, "Find your Calcutta." Open my mind to the thoughts I resist, the poor I've denied, the souls I've dismissed. I drop my defenses, I open my senses to you. Open my heart, Lord, my deepest part, Lord. I want to feel the prisoner's despair, the exile whose prayer has gone dark. Open my heart, open my mind, open my ears, open my eyes.
Well, I am here with Tom and Chuck. And how long have you guys been married?
We've been married 3 years. We've been together 15.
Okay, so here's the needed conversation I want to have with you guys in relation to this series. Were you guys ever part of a church that, it welcomed you and who you were and your lifestyle and, right? And yet ultimately you discovered, okay, they welcome, but we're not being affirmed. Have you had an experience like that? And what was that like?
Yeah, I definitely have. And I came out late, and when I did, it was really important to me to be in church. My spirituality was important, and I was part of a church, helped start this church, and told the pastor going in that I was gay, and he was great with that. He said, I've never had a gay friend. I'm glad to know you this way. But I was lay staff. I was head of the drama department, so I didn't want it to be a secret. So I shared that with the pastor, and all was good for about 5 years. But eventually, people started questioning my sexuality, and they went basically to the board, and we had about 3 or 4 months of conversation about it, which was really, I thought, surely they're going to be okay with this, but they just want to walk through. This is the first time that they've, had this situation. And I love so many people in that church. And ultimately, the board said, we want you to know that you're always welcome here, but you can't be a leader here. So you're going to need to step down as the drama director, but you're welcome here. You just can't serve in a leadership capacity situation. And that was really traumatic. It just really kind of shook me to my core because I had so much faith in this church, which, was a mixed blessing. And it was tough on Tom. So yeah, that was a hard thing to deal with.
Yeah, and here you said you were one of the founding members of the church, well involved. Were you guys together then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what was that experience like for you?
Well, I was angry, and I actually sent an email to the pastor, and it was very thoughtful. It wasn't ugly, but I kind of had to get it out, and I just couldn't sit by and let that happen without doing something. But in hindsight, I probably would have done the same thing because I didn't, ruffle feathers. I just wanted him to know. Really, it was more about Chuck and his, the way he loved that church so much, and I just want to let him know that it was wrong.
Yeah.
And it was tough too because the pastor, he let me know personally that he didn't vote with the majority.
Right.
He wanted me to be able to stay, but the board didn't vote that way. So that was even tough.
So, Chuck, when you're kind of getting that news, what did that do, especially spiritually? Did that encourage more shame and guilt, or did you kind of were you able to go, well, that's the way I see it, they see it, I don't agree with it, or did it heap more guilt and shame?
It made me almost withdraw from what I had started in combining my faith with my true self. And that made it extra tough because I thought I just had faith that things would be okay, that I was living my true life, my authentic self. And so I thought, well, surely this church that I trust and the people that I trust will be okay with that. And so that made it doubly hard.
Yeah. So then when the full acceptance, in a sense, of yourselves, when did you spiritually able to go, listen, this spiritually, who I am and my spiritual life are affirmed and confirmed, and I'm free in being gay? When did that
We
happen?
went to a predominantly gay church. A friend of ours went there, and he told me about it. Chuck was doing work out of town at the time, and I checked it out, and I was like, this is a church that I can be myself, and it was incredible. It was actually the first time I ever felt that way. I grew up in the Catholic Church, and that just doesn't mix. And so it was a nice journey to start there and to be with people who know who you are, and we all had similar stories. I mean, like really similar stories. It just kind of got old after a while. The same thing, and so sad too that there were so many similar stories. But yeah, that was probably the place where I first felt truly accepted and affirmed in a church situation. Yeah.
So you guys are married. You're a married couple in our church, and we just love you in every way. So, and you're I think pretty close to being founding members of this church, right?
Well, we did go the first.
Yeah. There you go. Bam. Yeah, you're there. So what's it like? What's it like to be part of a church that goes beyond welcoming? We're affirming in every way. And by the way, what we mean by that is not just in a lay sense that we're affirming to a gay community that would attend this church. What we mean by fully affirming is a gay person. We would affirm their ordination, them being on staff, them leading in our church, and being part of ministry in every single way. So what's it like being in a church where you're fully affirmed, being a family fully affirmed, and around others in the gay community that are also?
I have to say that the first Sunday that we went to Spero Dei, which was the first Sunday that you launched in Silma Park, I was so hopeful and yet just a little bit afraid because I've been burnt a couple of times. And so as we sat and listened to you talk and the other staff talk, we were like, oh, I know they're saying welcoming, I get that, but I hope that they're affirming, and I hope that they truly embrace, and Spero Dei has done nothing but embrace and make us feel comfortable and welcome and part of, and it is so affirming to be and worship and friends with all walks of life. We're in the world at Spero Dei, and we're accepted in the world, and not just accepted, but we're boosted by. It's just it's everything that I've hoped for on this spiritual journey.
Yeah, and when you say affirming things, there's no straight people walking out the door. They stay, and it's like it was the thing that I find with like city groups that we have straight couples and single couples in those groups, and there's no censoring of what you're going through. There's no censoring at all, and it's very freeing to be in a group where there's, like, we're so used to being in heterosexual groups when we're growing up that we had to, like, not use pronouns, watch our pronouns when we talked about the people in our lives. And here it's so freeing that you don't ever have to do anything like that. It's just great.
Well, I love that you share that, and that's what you experience, because that's what I experience. That's what I hope, is that gay or straight at Spero Dei, it truly is a welcoming and affirming place. So we love you guys. Thanks for being part of this and sharing a bit, I know just a small bit of your lives. So thank you.
We love you too.
Aww.
We do.
I'm going to ask a bonus question. So I am, when you especially give your experience, and then, yours too, loving somebody who experienced that, right? I'm sure when you get around other gay people, they share similar stories. Something similar has happened, either the rejection or the bait and switch, welcoming and then not really. So my question is, where it makes me sad as a minister that the greater gay community may have experienced that spiritually, thus they have a certain perspective. It's impacted their spiritual life. Is that, what, is that right?
No, it's sadly right that so many of our friends that grew up with religion and with a faith and spirituality, and I think for me, I've seen a lot of them that came out earlier than I did, but I think because they did come out earlier, they got burned faster. And I've seen so many of my friends that now that I have such a warm home in my faith, in my church, as I talk to some of these friends that have been burned by religion, and they just said, no thank you. If that's what religion is, if that's what faith is, I don't want any part of it, because that religion has preached a wrathful God to them, and it's one of the saddest things that I've seen in my life. We have a friend that is a very close friend of ours that basically his family and his church, they made him feel so guilty that, he left this world because of that. And, it's hard to deal with that and to reckon that. Because I know it wasn't God that did that to him, but I just know that people that were close in his life and his church guilted him so much that, and it's one of the biggest heartbreaks in my life, that he left us so early.
And I think too that when I hear pastors and I hear people on out in the world preaching against homosexuality, and you're going to hell, and where there's a presumption of that, it makes me so angry that people would be out there influencing a young gay person who's questioning, who doesn't really know who he is or she, or trans person, and to have any of that coming at them, other than unconditional love, is just unacceptable. It's just, and it hurts to think about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I am here with Jen and Kelly, and I think the first thing I want to say to you guys, and really on behalf of Liz too, that we love you guys so much, and we are so thankful that you are part of our church. And in fact, you guys are one of the original families of our church. You're one of the founding families.
Don't make us sound too old.
You're young though, yes. So, but we do. We're so we're grateful that you not only are here, but that you're willing to be part of this conversation. Because your family, I'll say this about your family, and it really relates to my first question. And this has been ever since I've known you guys, that your family, and I've only known you as a family, that's how I met you. Mm-hmm. Your family just expresses a fortitude. There's this sense of strength to it, but that is then you just give off this very sense of love and closeness. And so where does that come from? Because it's so evident.
Yeah, I think it comes from our families. and our parents. I think we learned it at a young age. Strong foundation, you know, and we've had a lot of support and love from our parents, and grew up with, you know, extended family with us. And so we've seen what it's like to have an influence, not just from your parents, but your grandparents. Yeah. How important that is to your rock and your foundation, the way you want to be a parent and raise your own children.
Right. And you got, how long you guys been together, and tell how many kids you guys have?
Okay, so we've been married 6 years.
In August.
6 years in August, and we have Kennedy, who's 4.
And a half.
And Hudson's turning 1 on Saturday.
This weekend.
Yeah.
Well, you guys just have a beautiful, beautiful
Thank you.
family.
Thank you.
So, Kelly, you had mentioned, you know, what we experience with your family comes from your own. So here you guys are. You are a gay family. So what's it been like to experience the support of your family? Because certainly as a Christian minister over the years, I've talked to a number of gay people in our community that is not what happens. So what's it like? I guess 2 questions. What's it like to experience the support of your families? And then what's it like to then be part of a church that's affirming and supportive? What's that like?
Well, I think that everything that we've been surrounded with has always been an extension of our family. So Kelly's position, her job, her associate head coach position, her team is our family. Our church, we think of that as our family. So because we grew up with a loving and accepting extended family, I think that we continue to place ourselves in situations where we surround ourselves with more family. My position, my work, the people that I've met through the Y are my family. So I think that no matter what, we just find ourselves surrounded by all of that.
And what you've experienced, you guys probably, you're intelligent, you have great sense of awareness and experience. So not all gay people and not all gay families, especially when it comes to Christianity and the Christian church, have experienced the same affirmation, the same support. And just my experience as a minister, again, talked to so many gay people who have been hurt by the church or hurt in realms of faith. And they're wary of the church or Christianity. And I totally, totally get it.
Yeah.
So when you guys tell your friends in the LGBTQ community that you're part of your church and you love your church, what goes on there? What happens there?
Well, it's funny because usually people will say, "You guys go to church?" And we're like, "Yeah." And like, well, we where do you go? You know, that's the first question, because you know, so many gay couples with families, so many single people looking for a connection with their faith don't know where to go. And I think by word of mouth, it's starting to get out in our community where you can go, and that Spero Dei is accepting, and that we feel like a family within a family. And I think it's not about, you know, anything other than being yourself where you are.
It's good. Well, as I end with how I began, so there is just this aura that just comes from your family. When I see your family bound into the church, or Kelly, you peel in on 2 wheels.
That's more like it.
Trying to get the kids into our program. You know, just such great things just fly off your family. So when you think of your family where it is, and then you think of the future, what is the hope that you guys have for your family, your 2 beautiful kids?
I think that our hope for our family is that our kids will always be treated with loving kindness, and that they will always feel that they are valued and loved as individuals, and that our family dynamic doesn't change the way anyone sees them, maybe even enhances how they see them. But it's really, really important for Kelly and I that our kids are given as much love and opportunity as every other child. And so we really hope that the future is about them, and we'll do whatever we can to support them and guide them in that path, just as our family did for us.
Well, you two are wonderful parents. It shows. You're two beautiful kids. Your kids are beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, and we love you, and we're so glad that you're part of Spero Dei. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, I hope that was meaningful to you to hear from Chuck and Tom and their experience. I hope you enjoyed and were encouraged by seeing Jen and Kelly and who they are. To the Spero Dei LGBTQ community, I just want to say I am so grateful that you are part of our church. And I pray and I hope you feel fully affirmed here at our church and feel loved. And when we say everyone's welcome, we mean everybody is beyond welcome. You are affirmed. Now, I realize some of you out there, especially in the LGBTQ community, the whole church thing can be very confusing. That's why I'm glad there is this organization called Church Clarity, and this is an organization that helps give clarity to the LGBTQ community, especially when it comes to spiritual things and Christianity, because there's a lot of ambiguity out there. You heard Chuck's story. He goes to a church that says everybody's welcomed. Of course, right? A church wants to welcome people. And then he gets there, and when he wants to live and be his true self, they go, whoa, wait a minute. No, you can't. We don't fully affirm who you are. And so what that is that's ambiguous. When churches are ambiguous this way, somebody gets part of this church, loves this church, is growing spiritually, loves the people there, wants to get involved, and then bam, something comes and they're deeply, deeply hurt. So what Church Clarity does is Church Clarity helps clear this up. And so you can go to churchclarity.com. You can look up any church in the country or a lot of churches in the country and say, are they clear on this issue? Are they for it? Are they against it? Are they ambiguous? And I'm so thankful that Church Clarity about Spero Dei says we're for it. We affirm LGBTQ people, and we are clear about that. So one of the things they do is they give suggestions that when you're talking to a church leader or a church minister, how to ask that question and how not to ask that question, so you can be very clear about where this church stands. So I'm going to share some things with you right from their website. So say you walk into a church and you like the church, but you want to know where they stand on this issue. So here's what they first say. Don't ask this. Don't ask, do you welcome, accept, or include LGBTQ people in your church? Don't ask the question that way. Why? Because ministers, pastors, church leaders love to say, listen, everybody's welcome here. And I really believe it. There are well-meaning people, good-hearted people that say, listen, everybody is welcome here. So then a gay person goes and they sense that they're welcome, but then the church is not ultimately affirming. It's not really going to affirm or fully accept who they are as gay people. They won't be able to be married in the church. They won't be able to serve in any kind of position or leadership in the church. And the ambiguity hurts because they go, wait, I thought I was welcome here. And what happens is they ultimately feel they're not. I wasn't really welcome. If you welcomed me, I would have full affirmation. So don't ask the question that way, because you'll get, of course, all are welcome. Everybody's welcome. Instead, Church Clarity says, ask the question this way. Ask, do your policies allow LGBTQ folks to be baptized in your church? Can you get married here? Are there any restrictions on how LGBTQ folks can participate in this church? Can an LGBTQ person be on staff on this church? Can an LGBTQ person get married here, be openly gay here? And I'm so glad that Spero Dei, we fully affirm an LGBTQ person at our church can fully serve in any position at Spero Dei, fully volunteer at Spero Dei, of course be openly gay at Spero Dei. They can get married here. They can be blessed here. Their children can be baptized and dedicated here. An LGBTQ person can be on staff here. An LGBTQ person can be a minister or a board member or an elder at Spero Dei. And I'm so grateful to be part of a church like this. So I just want to say, as I close, to all the LGBTQ people part of Spero Dei, thank you that you're here. And I hope and pray you feel fully affirmed. I also want to say that if in your past you have experienced church damage, God damage, because the Bible or a Christian perspective was weaponized against you, not only am I sad, I just give a collective, man, I'm so sorry. So sorry. And I want to encourage you that you are fully loved and affirmed and accepted here. To those of you who are straight at Spero Dei, but you love being part of a church that loves the people you love, because you have gay children, you have gay siblings, you have gay relatives, you have gay parents, you have gay friends or workmates. And part of the full expression of your faith is you need to know that you are part of a Christianity and you are part of a church that fully affirms the people that you love. And you need a church to be safe for the people you love. So thank you for being here and all the support you give. And finally, to those of you who in your heart, when you listen to our couples and families today, when you even listen to some of the things that I'm sharing, your heart resonates with this. Whether you're gay or straight, you go, yes, yes. But you haven't been in environments where you can fully express that. I just want to let you know that there is a new kind of Christianity awakening. And there are more and more places, there are more and more people, there are more and more scholars and theologians and ministers and churches. There are more and more just people in the byways and the highways of life that are like you, that resonate with what you resonate, and are awakening and expressing a kind of Christianity that your heart is in union with. So you have the permission to move and to leave those environments that don't resonate with you. And I want to encourage you that there are people that look at the world and look at faith the way that you are beginning to look at it. Well, that is what we wanted to share with you today, that there is a huge difference between affirming and welcoming. And Christianity, the kind of Christianity that we hold to, fully affirms those in the LGBTQ community in every way. So before Nicole comes and sings, can I pray for all of us? Would you, wherever you're at, would you just close your eyes and bow your head and let me pray. God, I want to thank you for the LGBTQ community that are part of Spero Dei, and the LGBT community, or any person listening to us through this webcast. I hope that you will find that deep sense of place and presence in their heart, that your love will collide with them, and that they would know to the depths of their being that they are fully loved for who they are. And whether we are gay or straight or trans or whatever we are, that we are fully loved, and you have made us the way we have been made, and we are to be true to who that is. So I pray for our LGBT community, that they would continue to stand and stand strong, that they would continue to move and be true to who they are. We thank you for the LGBTQ pilgrims in the past who have been courageous and have stood and had a voice to bring us all to where we are today. We thank you for the courageous people of the past. And I've been with so many of my gay friends that look at this generation coming up, and they are just so excited that gay and trans people are now living in a world that has a different kind of acceptance than what previous generations have experienced. And God, I pray for the Christian church and Christian clergy, that more and more and more would awaken to full inclusion, to full understanding, that less and less would use the scriptures to weaponize and to thump anybody in a way that is non-accepting, non-loving, non-affirming. And I pray, God, that you would be with us all in this. We just ask for more faith, more hope, more love, these three things that ultimately matter. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, now Nicole is going to come sing and stay in a place of presence and love and acceptance. Stay with a heart of inclusion in every way as Nicole sings.
There is a fountain wrapped in the haze of light, flooded with goodness, rushing with words of life. They're healed to the bone, and they're sweet to my soul, and I'm swept away. I am good, you say I'm good. I am worthy, wanted, loved by you. This is living, breathing proof that I am chosen, wanted, and loved by you. I'm undone with love for you. There is a person, light running through his hands, speaking with kindness, gentleness. He heals to the bone and speaks straight to my soul, and I'm swept away. And I am good, you say I'm good. I am worthy, wanted, loved by you. This is living, breathing proof that I am chosen, wanted, loved by you. I'm undone with love for you. Within all of the joy and through all of the waiting, I'm undone with love for you. And I could never forget the spirit that changed me. I'm undone with love for you. I'm undone with love for you. Our the Father, love rushing through your veins, and you are the Mother. Tenderness filled with strength. You heal to the bone, speak life to the soul, and I'm swept away. Yes, I am good, you say I'm good, and I am worthy, wanted, loved by you. This is living, breathing proof that I am chosen, wanted, loved by you. I am worthy, wanted, and loved by you. I'm undone with love for you.
Well, that's our service for today. I hope that it meant something to you. My name is Mallory Paulk, and I am the preschool director here at the Little Sparrows. And I just want to let you know that this conversation really hits home to me personally. I'm not sure that I could be a part of a church or a community in which didn't love the people that I love, my family members and my friends that I hold so dearly. And so I'm just so thankful for this space here. Well, last week you heard from India that we are together, hopefully in our new building in mid-August. And I just want to let you know that I've walked through the building and it is looking so good. I'm so excited for everyone to see it. And for the kiddos to go downstairs and play and grow and love. And I think that it's going to be a great thing for us. Finally, if you're giving, I just want to say thank you. And if you're considering it, you can go to SperoDei.com. There's a give link that you can give to securely and safely. And I just want to thank all of you that are doing that. Well, that's our service, and we'll see you next week.